Well, hello Internet, and welcome to my mean stack tutorial. In this one tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install and verify that MongoDB, Express, AngularJS, and NodeJS are all installed and properly working on your system. And in this tutorial, I'm going to focus in on using Windows, but if you are a Mac user, don't worry. In the description underneath the video, I have a tutorial called NodeJS/MongoDB tutorial, and in that I show you how to install mostly everything except for AngularJS, which I have a timestamp for this video in the description also. That's going to allow you to just click on that after you see that video and easily go in and install AngularJS. But if you're on Windows, everything's going to be in this one video. Also in the description I have a link to all of these things listed step by step, so if you prefer to look at text you can look at that, or you can watch the video and look at text. And I also have individual tutorials for NodeJS/Express, MongoDB, and NodeJS, as well as Jade, which we're also going to be covering in this tutorial. So I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. Now, mean stands for MongoDB, Express, AngularJS, and NodeJS, and we're going to be using the MVC pattern to develop our application using this mean stack, as it's referred to. With MVC, we'll separate the model, or the data source, or the data manipulation part of our site from the view, or the rendered page, or the user interaction part of our site, and then we'll have the controller, which is going to handle communication between the model and the view. Now, briefly, NodeJS allows us to build server-side web applications using JavaScript, like you're probably aware of, and Node also is going to utilize a module system which makes it very attractive and also very easy to extend in regards to adding additional capabilities. While Express is a Node.js framework which is going to provide the capabilities of Node.js while also making it easy to build applications using the MVC format. MongoDB is a NoSQL database that utilizes JSON data models, which make it very flexible and allow for us to use diverse groupings of different types of information in comparison to like relational databases which are very highly structured. And MongoDB also is going to provide this flexibility while at the same time offering fast querying and ease of scaling. AngularJS then is going to shore up everything by providing a framework that makes it easy to make single page applications. And once again, it's going to provide an MVC structure that makes pages dynamic through the use of data binding. So that is a rough overview of why we're using all these different guys and how we're going to use them in comparison. And now I'm going to jump over and show you how to install everything. Okay, so I set everything up here on a frame-by-frame basis, so it should be very easy for you to click on pause and then just work your way through installing everything, because it can get a little bit confusing. Very first thing we're going to do is we're going to install Node.js by going to nodejs.org, and you're going to more than likely use the 64-bit version if you're on Windows. After you click that you want that, of course it's going to ask you if you want to run it, and you're going to say yes, and it's going to pop up on the screen, and we're going to basically just click on next a whole bunch of times. So click on next, accept the terms, click on next. It's perfectly fine to put this in your program files. Click on next. You're not going to need to change anything here. Going to click on next once again and then click on install. After everything is installed, then you're going to click on finish. And now what you're going to want to do is open up your command prompt. And we're just going to verify that Node was properly installed by typing in Node with a space and a -v, and whenever it pops back the version number of Node, which might be different depending upon when you were looking at this video, you're going to know that Node was properly installed. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to set up the directory where you are going to be storing everything. So you're going to want to come in here, and it's perfectly fine to put it in the users directory. You're just going to go mkdir, and I'm going to create a directory called mean_tut, and then I'm going to change to that. And for your first run through in regards to installing all these different things, it's a good idea to keep the names exactly the same so that you don't get confused. And now it's going to be time for us to install Express, and to do so you're just going to come over in your mean_tut directory and type in npm install with a space -g space and Express. After you do that, you're then going to want to come in here and install Express generator. So we're going to type in npm space install space Express -generator with another space and a -g. And after you do that, you're going to see that everything installs without an error, and that's super great. And now it's going to be time to come in here and have Express generate our sample site. And to do that, you're inside of the mean directory once again. You're going to type in Express with a space and then sample site. And then at this point in time, you're going to see all these different files and directories that are all going to be created. Once again, I covered that in the Express tutorial in an ultimate detail. But you're going to see here there are no errors and everything is working perfectly fine. And at this point in time, you could actually come in here and run your server, your Node.js server, to verify that everything's working. And to do so, you're just going to come in and you're going to type in node followed by index.js. And then if you go to localhost 3000, you're going to see that ExpressWorks pops up here on your screen. So now you know that you have Node.js as well as Express installed properly. And what we're going to install next is Jade. And to do so, you're just going to type in npm with a space install space Jade. And don't worry about these two warnings, they're not going to matter at all at this point in time. Also, if you'd like to come in and install handlebars, you could do so by typing in npm install --save express -handlebars, and also verify that no errors pop up on the screen anywhere. At this point in time, we're going to have to set up the package.json file so that we will be able to have MongoDB as well as Jade all be able to work with it. And that's going to be located in your mean tut directory, sample site, and then you're going to see package.json. So just open this up in a text editor like Notepad++, that's what I'm using here. You don't want to open this up in Microsoft Word or anything like that. Notepad++ is great. Also verify that you have private true right here, and also make sure that you have commas at the end of all these different lines. You're going to get all kinds of errors. Then at this point, you're going to want to come in and make sure that you have Kerberos set up inside here with the exact settings that I have, also with the commas at the end, MongoDB, and also Jade if Jade isn't already inside there. Then you're going to save that file. And now we're going to have to come in here and install Python, because we're going to also be installing Bower here in a little bit, and we're going to need Python to be able to do that. And you're specifically going to want to install the 2.7 version of Python, so you're going to want to click on that. And whenever you do, you're going to specifically want to look for the 2.7 version and this guy right here, the MSI installer, and you're going to click on that. Whenever you do, it's going to say, do you want to run this? Of course, click on run, and it's going to open up the installation file. Then you're basically just going to click on next a whole bunch of times. So install for all users, next. All this is perfectly fine. Click on next, and then you're going to click on next, and then it's going to complete installation. You're going to click on finish. You're then going to open up a command prompt once again and type in npm install with a space -g node gyp. Once again, this is going to be used by Bower, and you're going to verify that everything installed here without any errors. And then you're going to open up your sample site directory once again. You're going to type in npm with a space and install. And if you get any errors whenever you type that in, you could of course come in instead and type in npm with a space and install, and then -g and then npm at latest. And if you do that, that should get rid of any errors that you might have gotten by just typing in npm install. Then once again, in the sample site directory, you're going to create a data directory that's going to be used by MongoDB. So just make sure you're in sample site and then type in md with space and data. And then once again, we could type in npm with a space and start in the command line, and you're going to make sure, or the command prompt, and you're going to make sure that you keep this command prompt open. And any additional times I say open up a command prompt, you're going to want to open up a new command prompt, because this is your Node.js server that's running here. And once again, you can come in and go localhost 3000, and you're going to see that Express opens up right like that. Now it's going to be time to install MongoDB, and to do so, you're just going to go into mongodb.org, and it's going to pop up here on the screen, and it's probably going to be automatic. It's going to say you're on Windows, so it's going to pop up Windows. You're going to click on download, and it's going to open up this page, and of course you're going to come in and say that you want to run it so that you can install MongoDB. And then you're going to go through a little wizard once again, which basically is going to require you to click on next a whole bunch of times, accept the terms, click on next, complete, that's perfectly fine, click on next, and then you're going to click on install. And it's going to say that that's all finished, so click on finish. Now it's a good idea to come in here to create a basic directory inside of the C part of your drive. So directory C, just that guy right there. And you're going to go in and type in make directory and data, and then make directory data with backslash and db. You're then going to want to make sure that you have MongoDB in your path. So what you're going to do is make sure that you have the directory for MongoDB. So open it up and look at the properties for that file. And then you're going to go into System and Security inside of your control panel. Click on Advanced System Settings. This guy's going to pop up. You're going to go to the Advanced tab right there, and then you're going to click on Environment Variables. Then this guy's going to pop up, and you're going to need to come in here on your path for both paths just to be safe. You're going to want to make sure that you come in here and type in C:\program files, MongoDB server 3.0, and then bin with a final backslash. And of course, make sure you have a semicolon right here. And then once you do that for both of these paths, you're going to click on OK. Now you're going to want to open up a new command prompt, And in that command prompt, you're going to type in MongoD and a space and DB path, and then you're going to put a link to the data directory that you created in your sample site. And whenever you hit enter on this, this is going to run the MongoDB server. So you're going to have the NodeJS server running up here and the MongoDB server running down here, both in separate command prompts. You're then going to open up the MongoDB shell by just typing in Mongo. And then you're going to see this little test open up right here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new database in our MongoDB database. And to do that, you're going to type in use sample site like that. And then we're going to throw in some sample data just to verify that MongoDB is working. And to do that, you can see everything right here. I have DB students, insert student. Make sure that you have everything exactly the same. Please pause the screen to make sure that you want this, or like I said in the description, I have a link and you can just copy and paste this guy. But you're going to want to put all of this sample data inside of the database, right, like this. And you're going to hit enter, and whenever it says inserted 1, you know that you properly were able to insert this piece of data that you see right here on our screen. Now we're going to verify that MongoDB is going to work with Express, and to do so, you're going to open up a file called app.js. So go into mean.directory, sample site directory, and then app.js. And a lot of this stuff's going to be here on your screen, and what you basically just need to do is put this one line of code right inside of there, and then you're going to save app.js. Then we're going to come in here to another file called index.js, and that is in the sample site routes. And inside of index.js, you're going to be adding a whole bunch of different information. I'm going to go through exactly what all this stuff does. But you're going to put all of the information you see here on your screen after where you see the line that says router is equal to express.router, but before where you see the line that says module.exports equals router. That module.exports equals router has to be the last line of text that you're going to say. And I'll just go briefly through exactly what's going on here. Basically, this guy right here is going to define the root route, which means whenever they go to localhost :3000, this is going to define exactly what's going on. And we're going to say here that we want to open up the index page and then pass over the attribute title with the value of express. That is the reason why you saw express on there. Let's see if I can open it up. See where it says express? That's that, and localhost :3000 is the root that we were talking about. And this guy right here, or the request object, is going to represent the HTTP request, and it's also going to contain any query strings, parameters, bodies, headers, whatever. Then you're going to have the response object, which is going to be the response that Express is going to send whenever it receives a request. And what render is saying here is that it wants to open up a view, which is a Jade file, which you're going to see here in a little bit. And that Jade file is going to be located in the views directory, and it's going to have the name of index.jade. And like I said previously, it's going to pass in title as a variable with the value of express. This down here is where we are going to actually verify that we have MongoDB all set up with our Express application, and what it's going to do is it's going to print out the student that we plugged into the database previously. This guy right here is just saying that we want to get a Mongo client so that we'll be able to work with our Mongo server. This right here is going to define where the MongoDB server is located. This guy right here is going to connect to the server, and it's going to print out an error if we were unable to connect to the server or something like that. Otherwise, it's going to print out that we actually were able to create a connection. This line right here is going to get the documents, and specifically it's going to get the students' documents. Then we're going to issue a basic find query, which basically, since there's nothing inside of here, it's going to say that we want to get all the results of all the documents for students. And you saw previously where I set that up inside of the MongoDB shell. And if it's able to get this array of information, what it's going to do, it's going to print out an error if it had an error. Otherwise, what it's going to do is it's going to say that we want to render a new Jade view called student list, which we're going to create here in a second. And we're going to pass over the result of our query. And otherwise, it's going to print out an error that we were not able to find any documents. But if everything goes great, everything should be fine. And then finally, we're going to have db.close right like this. And if you get any errors whenever you do this, just click on the little link in the description and copy and paste all this stuff to make sure that everything's set up properly. Because it's very easy to get a wrong parenthesis or a semicolon in the wrong place, and that will cause all kinds of errors, of course. And here is the student list layout.jade file that we're going to save inside of our views directory. And you're just going to go and type in all the code that we have right here. And this is basically going to cycle through all the results of the query that we issued and then output all that information on the screen. And this is the location. It's views. You're going to save it in the same location where you see error index and layout.jade. After you have that all set up, you're going to want to hit Control-C to shut down your NodeJS server. And then you're going to want to type in npm start once again to restart it. You don't need to do anything in regards to restarting the MongoDB server though. And then if you come in here and go to localhost :3000 the list, it's going to print out all the information that you have in your database. So now you know that MongoDB is set up properly. Now we're going to have to come in and install Git. And to do that, we're going to type in git/scm.com and go to this guy right here. You're going to see downloads for Windows. You're going to click on that. And then it's going to say, do you want to run this? And of course, you're going to click on run. And then it's going to open up the installation wizard once again, which means you're just going to click next a whole bunch of times. That's all perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to have it in a programs file. All this you can leave exactly as it is. That's perfectly fine as well. I like to change it to use Git from the Windows command prompt and click on next. Then we're going to go to check out Windows style, which is the default. That's perfectly fine. Click next. min-tty, perfectly fine. Next. Don't need to do anything here. I almost never use anything that's experimental, and click on next. And it's going to jump through there and install everything for us. And then it's going to complete everything. If you want to look at the release notes, click on that. Otherwise, uncheck it and click on finish. Now you're going to want to set it up so that Git is going to be in your path. So you could just come in here and type in environment variables. If you just type in environment down here, this guy's going to pop up and we're going to click on that. And then you're going to be able to come in and open up the advanced tab once again, click on environment variables. And then in both of these paths, make sure that you type in C:program files git / and bin. And then after you do that, click on OK. Now in your command prompt, it's going to be a good idea to shut the command prompt down and then reinstall it or reopen it, whatever. And then at this point, we're going to install Bower. And Bower is basically a package manager that is used to download and maintain multiple different third-party libraries. And you're going to come in here and type in npm install-g followed by Bower. And this actually says Bower here, but the text is weird, so that's the reason why it doesn't show up. And you see there are no errors, so that's perfectly fine. Now you're going to need to come in here and create some files. So we're going to go into our sample site directory, right like this. We're going to create a file called bower.json, and this is exactly what you're going to want to put inside of here: name, mean, version, dependencies, and so forth. And then once again, save that as bower.json in your sample site directory. And then once again, you're going to create another file, and this is going to be .bowerrc. It looks like an extension, but it isn't. That's what you're going to put inside of there, and you're going to type in directory and public lib, exactly like that. And once again, that's going to be saved in your sample site directory. Another thing, since we're going to be installing Angular inside of your bower.json file, make sure you have Angular inside of here, and also make sure you have quotes around everything. And you're going to want to save that as well. And once again, if you didn't do it, you want to close down your command prompt and open up a new one to make sure that Git is all set up. And you're going to want to change to your sample site directory and then type in Bower install. And you're going to see that it goes and creates our Angular files that we're going to be using. And then if you go into the sample site public lib Angular, that's where all these files are going to be created. You can see them all there, exactly how they look. Now what you're going to want to do is go into sample site public and delete all the directories that are inside of there except for the lib directory. And then inside of public, we're going to be creating a brand new file, and that's going to be called application.js right there. Sorry about the zooming, I just want to make sure that you see it. And what you're going to put inside of there is main application module name followed by mean. And then what this guy's going to do down here is bind a function to the document whenever it hits, the document, meaning your web application, whenever the ready event triggers. And then in that situation, it's going to use Bootstrap to start a new AngularJS application using our main module. And in my AngularJS tutorial, I'll get more in regards to detail exactly what's going on there. So save that as application.js. Once again, we're going to be saving that in our public directory, this guy right here. So click on save. And now what you need to do is include AngularJS in your main layout file. So you're going to want to open up your sample site views directory, and then specifically open up a layout.jade. And then inside of that, you're going to want to make sure that everything is set up like this. You're going to want to make sure you have ng-app is equal to, and then just 2 quotes. And then more specifically, you're going to want to make sure that you come in here and link to AngularJS, which is going to be saved on your system, as well as the application.js file that you have set up. And pay particular attention to white space because Jade is real picky about white space. And now we can also come into our index.jade file. Once again, that's in the views directory inside of sample site. And you're going to type in exactly what you have right here. And what this is going to allow us to do is to come in here and verify that Angular is properly installed. And once again, like I said previously, I'm going to go into how Angular is used in my AngularJS tutorial, which is going to be coming up next. And then if you go to localhost :3000 after saving that, and of course making sure that NodeJS server and your MongoDB server and all that stuff's running, you're going to be able to come in here and type in Derek or whatever you want to type in, and have the hello part right here automatically update as you type. And there you go, guys. Now you have a mean stack set up. Pretty easy. I know it can be a little bit hair-pulling event, but hopefully everything made 100% sense and you were able to walk through this tutorial without any errors. If not, please leave any questions you have or about errors or whatever in the comment section below. And before I go, I wanted to send out a special thank you to all my Patreon supporters. I really couldn't make videos anymore on YouTube if it wasn't for the support that you guys are so awesome and give. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And like always, please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.